Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, March the 12th, presented by Boston Hemp Inc. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, Matt Robinson are with you, ready to break down a huge Tuesday night slate, and it's a huge Tuesday for another reason. We unveiled it just probably about a couple of hours ago. Today is indeed our Patreon exclusive Ice Guys Live Betcast game day. Yes, that is right. Tonight is the night for our Patreon exclusive live Betcast. This will be probably our one and only Patreon exclusive live Betcast this month. As you know, we're going a little bit lighter on the Betcast just for March because of the tournament action going on. March Madness starting up next week. But this is the night. We will be on the air, Patreon exclusive live Betcast, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you join us for that. And it is going to be a great Betcast again, and it's exclusive to Patreon. So again, you must be a Patreon member in order to tune in and join us on the stream. So Patreon exclusive Betcast tonight, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you join us for that. And it's a great card. I mean, we have two big-time headlining matchups. There we go on the screen. There you see it. I mean, we have two headlining matchups tonight. That one game could be an Eastern Conference final. We're talking about Rangers and Hurricanes head-to-head tonight. Yeah. One game could be a Stanley Cup final. You know, when you talk Florida Panthers and Dallas Stars. I mean, so you have two just absolutely tremendous matchups on paper headlining this Tuesday night NHL card tonight. So we are excited for this to be the night of our Patreon exclusive live Betcast here in March, 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. Again, if you are a Patreon member, the YouTube link's already been posted on the Patreon page. You can leave your name and your email. We will make sure if you want the StreamYard link to join us on the Betcast tonight, and we will send it to you right as the Betcast begins. But Alex, definitely, we're looking forward to this Betcast because it's a great card to have one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. We always try to find the best matchups when we're making these plans out. Like I said, with the Dallas-Florida game, Carolina and New York Rangers. So some good games right off the bat, and ones that'll definitely be worth looking at and digging in deeper to live. So like I said, this is a great time of year to have live betting, especially as we get into the playoffs where I do a lot more live betting virtually every game. This is kind of the warm-up for that heading up. So definitely one you want to join us for tonight.
No doubt. And I know, Matt, you're excited. This is not the average regular season game tonight for your Dallas Stars taking on the defending Eastern Conference champion and Stanley Cup finalists from a year ago, the Florida Panthers. It should be one heck of a game and way to headline the Betcast tonight.
Yeah, obviously always excited when the Stars are one of the big games on the night when we're on the Betcast. It's their 4-game heater, but they haven't really played anyone, of legitimacy besides the LA Kings. That was a nice win to end the California road trip. So yeah, I've had this one circled for a while, especially after the trade deadline. Tarasenko's in Florida now. They're obviously, the hottest, one of the hottest, if not the hottest teams in the league right now. I think everyone, has them as a potential favorite to be in the Cup, at very least in the Eastern Conference Finals against Carolina. So, should be a fun game. I'm sure the AAC will be rocking tonight. I wish I was going to be, in the arena, but the next best thing is to be on the Patreon exclusive Betcast with the Ice Guys crew. So hopefully we get some good dubs tonight.
That's a spirit, exactly. Can't be in the arena, but where else would you rather be out other than that than with the Patreon exclusive live Betcast tonight? And it will be a lot of fun. And we've got two great games. There's some other good ones too, but those are the main two that'll headline a great Betcast tonight. I'm just going to speak quickly because I want to get right into these Tuesday games, and I'll try my best to go at a little bit more of a rapid pace here with the Tuesday slate, with the Betcast being tonight. But just a flat look. We said this yesterday about Boston, and be careful. They were flat against Pittsburgh, but they got away with it because Pittsburgh stinks, and they can't do anything to take advantage of a team not playing their best. If Boston plays that way again, they might be in some trouble against St. Louis. Well, they did play that way again, and they did get in trouble against St. Louis, as in losing 5-1 to the St. Louis Blues last night. Pretty decisive win for St. Louis. Pretty horrible effort again for Boston. And this time they paid the piper for it. But credit to the Blues. They lost 3 in a row. They bounced back strong. They took advantage of the 5-on-3 in the first period. And really, special teams was huge. St. Louis capitalized when they had chances. Boston didn't. And that was ended up being definitely a big part of it. So a 5-1 victory for St. Louis there in that game. The New York Rangers 3-1 against the New Jersey Devils. It was one of those nights too I had a couple of teams with their team total, and if they get one more, it would have been a really huge night, both of them. Instead, it was just a kind of a meandering night betting wise. But Rangers get the 3-1 win against the New Jersey Devils. Of course, the result kind of overshadowed with the antics during the game. Obviously, early in the game, Curtis McDermott is going after Matt Rempe, looking for a fight. Matt Rempe turns him down. And then, of course, later in the game, another incident involving Matt Rempe and the New Jersey Devils. Of course, it was his hit on Nathan Bastian, which I don't think was that terrible. Like, it was a little questionable, but nothing like what we saw last night. And you can't use the height factor as an excuse anymore this time for Matt Rempe. Clearly, just you could tell he put that elbow out just a little bit to the head area of Jonas Siegenthaler of the New Jersey Devils, and it was just, hit you can't make. You've got to be more disciplined and you're just in control than that, and not lunge like that with your elbow, and he clearly did. And you can't make height for an excuse. And of course, Curtis McDermott's losing his shit right after the hit happens, and he's trying to do everything in his power to go after and attack Rempe, but the officials step in. And then Rempe pours a little salt on the wound with the wave going off the ice to Curtis McDermott. Not the best in terms of, he's been dodging him all night. And then all of a sudden the hit happens, and then he sees McDermott losing it, and then he's waving at him. But when you look at it last night in that game, too, it's just he's going to get a suspension probably. It's just a question of how many games. Was that the first incident in his career where it's like taking it a little over the edge? Definitely last night. With what he saw. And obviously McDermott wasn't happy. And apparently the whole back and forth with Devils and Rangers fans is, they're upset, the Rangers, that McDermott is trying to go after Rempe for a hit on Nathan Bastian that A, they don't think was that bad, and B, the hit was made when you weren't even on the team. So that's what a lot of Ranger fans have a problem with McDermott. You weren't even on the New Jersey Devils when that Bastian thing happened. So this whole answering the bell and the code thing for that hit on Bastian, it's like, you weren't even there, and yet you're the guy challenging him. I don't know. He's part of the team now. He's heard that incident. He's seen that incident. So if he feels, hey, I want to challenge this guy, he needs to answer for what he did to Nathan Bastian, then I don't have a horrible problem with that. And now, of course, this Siegenthaler incident happens, and now damn well we know that when the Devils and the Rangers meet on April 3rd, and there is one more meeting between these two teams, that McDermott is going to be looking for him again, assuming both of those guys are in the lineup that night. And I think in that spot, Matt Rempe's going to have to take the fight. He's going to have the Bastian thing, I don't think was the worst thing in the world. This was on Siegenthaler last night. So from that standpoint, I think he is going to have to, drop him with McDermott, and I think Green is definitely going to dress McDermott that night, April 3rd. It's going to be a question of whether Laviolette has Rempe in there as well, knowing what could be coming down the pike after what happened last night. But obviously those incidents, Overshay called it, I lost respect for him. Be a man, is very outspoken in this post game, was Curtis McDermott about that. And look, Matt Rempe is a physical player. He's going to be relentless as far as his ability to just wear on you physically and big hits. But that's definitely, one that you don't need it. It wasn't necessary. There was an extension of the elbow right to the head area of Siegenthaler, and he's going to get hit for it as far as the suspension is concerned. So, Alex, what did you think of that whole scene last night?
Yeah, it's unfortunate seeing him with these dirty hits. We love his gritty element to the game. We love the fights, but the dirty hitting has got to go. There's no place for that. I understand there's the height advantage in certain things, but like I said, you can't stick your elbow out. The fact that you are 6'8" means you certainly cannot stick your elbow out, because everyone's going to notice it more than a player who's 6'2" or shorter. So that's something that he has to clean up. And also, too, at the same time, of course, knowing the situation of when to have a fight in a game, that's important. But you can't just go and decline, especially a guy who's been one of the better fighters in the league for quite some time in Curtis McDermott. You got to answer the bell as a young guy. You have to know that, especially after the Reeves fight and these other fights you've had, every tough guy in the league, with all 12 of them at this point, are going to be coming after you, and you have to answer the bell for every one of them. If you want to make your name and stake your claim in this spot as being the top new enforcer, one of the younger, tougher guys in the league, you have to answer the bell, and especially when there's a cheap shot like that. Now, Ranger fans going, well, he wasn't on, McDermott wasn't on the team at the time of when that happened. Okay, it doesn't matter. You're on the team now. We've seen incidents before with teams going back for, was that the Rangers and Capitals a couple of years ago where we had all those fights? Didn't a couple of guys get called up for the Rangers from that game from Hartford? They weren't in the game when the cheap shot happened on Panarin, but they were in that game when all the fights went down because that's what they were there for, to fight. So if you have a Curtis McDermott, you have an enforcer now where at that time in that moment in that game, you didn't have someone who could step up and answer the bell. Now you do, and this is against one of your hated rivals across the river. So this is the problem with the modern hockey today, and still trying to keep fighting in the game, and the fighting element and the situations haven't evolved. You have this group that's trying to push it all out of the way altogether. You got people who want to keep it in, but they're not going about it the right way. There has to be a reworking of the code, in my opinion. From when you fight, how you fight, there has to be a total reworking of the code. And that obviously can't be done by the NHLPA or any kind of actual governing body. But all the guys who are willing to fight in this league come together in the summer and put together something. I know it sounds far-fetched, but honestly, I think this will help clean up the game with some of these dirty hits as well. There needs to be something done, and we can't trust the NHLPA. We can't trust Peros. We can't trust anybody in upper management wearing a suit to fix this. It's up to the guys on the ice. And if they all come together at some point in the offseason and say, hey, listen, we know what things have changed, but we know what elements and stuff need to stay in this game in regards to physicality and fighting. Make those changes on your own. Police yourselves. We want fighting in hockey to police themselves on the ice. Police yourselves off the ice and get this together, get this shit sorted out so we don't lose fighting in hockey, but at the same time, we can get rid of all the nastiness and the cheap shit and the bullshit out of this game.
There we go. That's well said. Very well said. And look, I don't have a problem with him turning down the fight, Rempe, because he's got to pick his spots or else he's going to get clobbered. He's already had, a big-time welts on his face from previous fights, and he's taken a pounding especially in the Olivier fight, and even a little lesser so in the Reeves fight. He's taken some beatings. You got to pick your spots. You can't fight every night. You can't fight every single game, or else there's going to be some there's going to be some issues. You're going to end up getting hurt a little bit at some point potentially. Especially because of the style he was fighting like early, the first couple, like he was just leaving himself way too unprotected. Now it looks like in the Reeves fight, he did adjust his style a little bit. You could tell he was trying to be a little bit more protective, which is good, but still, I get it. You don't have to fight every night. I'm sure the coach doesn't want him fighting every night, but you can't be that diminutive as far as declining McDermott's request for a fight and then do that to Siegenthaler later in the game, which was purposeful a little bit because he stuck that elbow out. That's the problem I have. Yeah.
And the wave, you haven't been here long enough to pull that off, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't mind that for a veteran guy doing that. I think that's totally fine and it would be hilarious, but I get the gesture of it. It's just that no, you got to earn your stripes a little bit more before you start pulling moves like that, in my opinion.
That's why McDermott lost it after the Siegenthaler incident, because he's like, this fucker's been bucking me all night. He's been totally getting away from wanting to scrap, and then he has the gall, the absolute temerity to do something like that to Jonas Siegenthaler, and end up, and that's why he just lost it. And it's a good thing the officials stepped in, because that could have been the Kyle Clifford incident in the AHL game that happened over the weekend, where you have very, very vengeful thoughts at that moment in time when McDermott was clearly not happy. And then, of course, the wave on top of it going off the ice from Rempe to McDermott was just the icing on the cake. But that makes that April 3rd final regular season encounter between the Devils and Rangers certainly interesting to see how that one plays out. The other games last night, Jets, great bounce back, although I was hoping for that team total, man. They had chances. Actually, Lindgren had a pretty good game, or else it could have been worse. But we did get the first period puck line on the Jets. We did get Winnipeg in regulation, but all the overs fall short. And then the Kings with a 3-0 shutout win. And if all nights for Patrick Waugh to finally decide, I'm going to wait to pull the goalie until 3 minutes left. He chose last night. I jumped in on the fucking live over there, 3.5 when it was 2-0. And I'm like, well, now it's prime Patrick Waugh territory to pull the goalie with 9 minutes to go. And sure enough, he didn't. He had 2 power plays and he still didn't pull the goalie. You know what? He got fucking spooked. He got scared because the last 2 times he's done that, pulling the goalie with 8 minutes to go, there was a goal by the other team right away. And I think he realized, I don't want to be doing that again. And he got a little gun shy, Patrick Waugh. So I got to blame him for that over 3.5 falling short last night. But a good win for the Kings, really solid, complete team game. Islanders looked a little tired. They didn't have their skating legs last night on the back-to-back, but a nice 3-0 win for the Kings. Matt, what did you think of last night?
Yeah, so I didn't catch a ton of the action. I knew today was going to be a big day, so I wanted to, kind of give myself a little refresh. Obviously, won't reiterate everything you guys mentioned about the Rempe stuff, but yeah, to me, it's like, at what point is he going to, get sent down to the minors, because it's just not helpful. I'm all for, the fighting, picking your spots, all that sort of stuff. But, maybe against a deflated New Jersey team, a 5-minute major doesn't matter that much. But look at last year's first round of the playoffs. Foligno took that 5-minute penalty in Dallas. I believe that was game 5. Game was over before it ended. Same thing with Jamie Benn taking that penalty on Mark Stone, 5-minute penalty, 2-3 minutes into the game. So to me, it's like, can this guy really be trusted to, play at the NHL level? Yes, he's tough. Like, nobody's taken that away from him. But I mean, he's getting 4 or 5 minutes of ice time and taking these 5-minute majors. To me, I have a buddy that's a big Rangers fan that's just like, all right, I'm over it. Like, let's send him back to Hartford. He can come up in those games, that April 3rd game, and be that tough guy, but he doesn't need to be in the lineup every night. There's other guys that would contribute more, than maybe the 3 hits he gets and crushes guys behind the net. Again, I love the physicality, but at what point does it become?
Well, I'll push back on one thing. He can play a little bit, this guy. He's scored already. He can play a little bit. He can get in on the forecheck. He's front of the net. He's a worry for the goaltender because he can create screens and take away the eyes of the goaltender. I think he can play a little bit, personally. He's not just some stiff that's out there to hit and fight.
I do agree with you on the power play. He's great in front of the net. But to be fair, his goal was a shot off his shin pad. Like, it wasn't like he was, sniping on the rush. But yeah, so that, my same buddy that's a Rangers fan made that same argument. He's like, the problem is I love him on the power play. Just stick him in front of the net. He's definitely a factor there. But as the playoffs come around, games get tighter. There's less penalties called. The power play does become more important. So, it is going to be an interesting factor. But I just think if he does something else between now and the playoffs that gets suspended again, then it's like, do we keep this guy in the big leagues, or do we need to send him back to the AHL to figure out, how to hit and not get kicked out of games? But yeah, outside of that, the only game I really caught a lot of the action was the Winnipeg game. I was on the team total over and the game over in that one, so obviously both of those fell short. Winnipeg looked like they finally had kind of gotten a spark back. We're playing a little more like they were, prior to the skid. Hellebuck obviously looked great. You figured he would bounce back at some point. A goalie of his, caliber isn't going to stay on a skid for that long. So that was good to see if you're a Winnipeg fan, to see Hellebuck play well. So, but yeah, again, didn't dive too deep into last night just because I knew tonight I'd want to have some pre-play, pre-puck drop plays, as well as save some bankroll for the live bets on the Betcast tonight. So very excited for a good Tuesday card. I'm actually came up to my parents last night, skied with my mom a little bit this morning, and then I'm going to head back down to the house. So that
I'm a good son.
Yeah. She mentioned, she was like, hey, I was going to hit North Star. Do you want to come snowboard for a couple hours? It's like, perfect. So we hit First Chair, and then I was home for this, and then I'm going to head back down the hill so that I'm at my normal desk for the show tonight. So looking forward to it. Excited to have a couple drinks with the group, and hopefully we have the same success we had on the last Patreon Betcast. I know we brought this up the other day, but we did go 3 for 3 on the bargain bin and on the best bets last time that we did a show together and then had a Patreon Betcast. So hopefully we keep that juju running.
That would be great. Wouldn't that be something? Another 6-0 sweep, best bet and bargain bin special combined. Speaking of bargain bin special, another one for Alex last night. Alex Iafallo That is definitely a plus 400 you could have gotten with him to score a goal last night. So another nice hit there for the bargain bin last night. All right, let's get into the Tuesday card. It is a big one. As usual, 10 games on the slate here tonight. We will begin with the San Jose Sharks and the Philadelphia Flyers. Minus 340 for the Flyers as home favorites. 6 the total. No Torts tonight. 2-game suspension. So he won't be behind the bench for the Flyers for this hockey game tonight. We'll see if it's funny. I think the team, just my thought is that they'll probably rally around this. I think most teams would, especially a guy like Torts, especially he was sticking up for his team. He felt that they had a bad whistle in that game against Tampa. They're off a horrible loss in that game, 7-0 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They'll be looking to bounce back here in this matchup against the San Jose Sharks. It's funny, San Jose actually beat Philadelphia back in November at the Shark Tank, 2-1. They've actually beaten Philly 4 of the last 5 meetings. This is a different situation altogether. They're coming off just that beat down against Tampa Bay, rally the troops around the absence of their coach. And I think definitely you'll see Philly have a good effort here. San Jose off a very rare win, snapping their long losing streak, beating Ottawa 2-1. Hard to make heads or tails right now of Magnus Corona right now for the Sharks because he looked terrible in a couple of starts, especially that Islander game. And then, of course, against Ottawa, actually, he played a hell of a game in that one. Now, Ottawa is not playing well themselves right now, but certainly have to give Magnus Corona some level of credit for the performance in net that we saw from him in that game. And he's back. Obviously, when you win and a team that's not won a lot lately, David Quinn's going to reward Magnus Corona with another start. So for that standpoint, it's not surprising that he's back in here in this game. But I haven't seen consistency. Matt Robinson had a front row seat to watch Magnus Corona against Dallas last week, and he did play well. But then he shits the bed and awful. It looked like barely an AHL goalie against the Islanders. And then he does look good again in the win against Ottawa. So if you're looking at this little pattern that's developing, it's been good game, good game so far from Corona. I think it's bad game tonight against a pissed off Philly team, against a Philly team that is definitely going to be realizing with the Islanders now right behind their back in the division that they need to pick up points at home against San Jose. You've got to come out ready. You got to be focused, even for a team like this. And if they are, I think they can get the job done. Question you got to ask yourself is what the hell do you do from a betting standpoint because they're such a huge favorite? It's not exactly like this is a penultimate value here, multiple ways. And just like with Winnipeg, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket like last night. That's why I at least got out of there with a couple winners with the regulation and the first period puck line. You don't want to put everything in the team total because what if it's like 3-0 or 3-1, that kind of a final score. So I'm definitely going to be on the first period puck line here, plus 120 for Philadelphia, first period puck line. I do think that's probably the best value as far as money line or regulation or anything like that goes. I'm going to sprinkle a bit on the full game puck line, even though you got to lay minus 120 to minus 125, and also going to jump on a little bit over 3.5 team total here for the Philadelphia Flyers, minus 140. I'm not buying Corona playing well again. He's got to put it together 2 games in a row before I'm convinced, and he has not had 2 good games in a row so far for this Sharks team, and I still don't think he's that great. I know he had a great game against Ottawa, but Ottawa, as we know, has got issues galore. So for me, those are the 3 bets I'm targeting. First period puck line, full game puck line, team total over 3.5 for the Philadelphia Flyers. What do you think here, Alex? Sharks, Flyers.
Yeah, it's a game where I'm glad we're going to have the Betcast on tonight because that's probably the most I'm going to attack with this contest. I do like first period puck line. I grabbed plus 110 with Philly. But everything else I like first period over, might look for full games, but I think we can get a slow enough start where we can grab plus money with some of these numbers, and we could also even look for Philly team total over live. I don't think they're just going to hop out of the gate and just score in the first 5-10 minutes. So I think that'll give us some time for these prices to kind of calm down a little bit, and that's the thing with these big favorites, attacking things live, and you'll start to see things settle up, especially if San Jose can get lucky and get a goal first. Then they give us a whole lot to work with Philly moving forward. So the great live spot, but I will have a little bit of first period puck line with the Flyers pregame.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not rushing for the over in this game either, quite honestly. And plus unders have cashed 4 of the last 5 meetings, but it's because I could see 1-0 Philly after the first, game script wise. I could see them adding to the lead in the second, 2-0. Maybe they get a late second period goal, 3-0, and they're also going to tighten up defensively big time after giving up 7 goals to the Tampa Bay Lightning over the weekend. So I could see this being a game where San Jose doesn't get a whole lot going offensively against this Flyers team that's probably going to dig in defensively and Sam Ersson. So that's why I'm staying away from the overs other than the Philly team total over and just going that route along with the first period puck line and the full game puck line. Because I plus Krona's on the road now. Let's not forget that. We'll see how he fares here. What do you think here, Matt? San Jose, Philadelphia.
Yeah, this is a toss-up because as you mentioned, Krona, he's super inconsistent. I mean, that game he played well against Dallas was in Dallas. So, maybe he's a road guy. Maybe he likes, the hotel lifestyle, eating out every meal. I don't know. So I think for this one,
I would.
Exactly. That's the dream. But no, I think for this one, just given where the line's at, I do like the Flyers first period puck line, but to me, I think I might take the safer bet because San Jose has scored the early goal in a lot of games lately. I may take the first period over. It's still only minus 125, just as my only pregame bet. And then kind of my goal is like, while we're on the show, if San Jose scores that first goal 2 minutes into the game, then I can either jump on, maybe a live over 2.5, maybe jump on Philly puck line at a much higher price, kind of adjust from there. As well as, full game puck line, it would obviously drop quite a bit if San Jose does score quickly. So I think that's going to be my only play pregame. And then this is one that I'll be circled to potentially bet live just because I like these big favorites live because of that. If San Jose goes up 2-0, then you can grab Philly plus money line. Maybe they tie it up late like Dallas did and win in overtime. So that's a lot of options there. So that'll probably be my only pregame play is that first period over 1.5. And I'll just keep it simple.
Yeah, with the standings tightening and the Islanders on this run and closing the gap on Philadelphia, Flyers, of course, not assured of anything as far as the playoffs go. Got to have 2 points tonight, period. Simple as that. You have to have the 2 points tonight at home against one of the worst teams in the NHL and a goaltender that, again, still very, very inexperienced at the NHL level. All right, one of the games of the night for sure, the New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina minus 165. Home favorites, 6 the total. This is back-to-back for the Rangers after beating the New Jersey Devils last night, so it's a nice advantage for the Hurricanes in this game. We'll see if they can take advantage of it. But it's very interesting if you look at the recent meetings here between the Rangers and the Hurricanes, especially here in Carolina. Rangers have done very well here in Raleigh in the regular season. Last February, a 6-2 win. Last March, a 2-1 win. So they've won in their last 2 regular season trips here to PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina. Meanwhile, the Hurricanes have won 2 of the last 3 trips they've made to Madison Square Garden. So road team has actually done pretty well in some of these recent games. It was 6-1 Carolina back on January the 2nd when these teams played. Keep in mind, that was bad Shesterkin based on his performance level then compared to now. Because that was still when Igor Shesterkin was very, very much his confidence wasn't there. He wasn't playing well. He was kind of in a funk. Clearly, this is a different Shesterkin now. He has had a very good run here the last month or so. We'll see how he fares tonight in this big matchup. But obviously, Laviolette and the Rangers decided to save him for tonight. He is expected in net. Pyotr Kochetkov, very, very interesting that Rod Brind'Amour appears to be, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it appears to be that he's going to give the Russian this big game against the New York Rangers. Pyotr Kochetkov, is that a tell for the Stanley Cup playoffs that maybe, just maybe, the young buck is our number one guy heading into the postseason as opposed to Frederik Andersen? Very, very interesting, but I like it. I like the call there by Rod Brind'Amour. Not confirmed, but we're just looking like it's at this point likely that it's going to be Pyotr Kochetkov for the Carolina Hurricanes. I like the draw in this game. That's really it. I think you can't help but take a shot with that, given the fact that this is probably going to be a competitive game. The Rangers are a good back-to-back type of team, though. I don't have the record off the top of my head, but I know. Oh, there, Terry has it there in the chat. There we go. Terry Ray Vegas. Rangers 9-1 on the second night of back-to-back games. So I wouldn't sell them short. And as much as I think Carolina is really playing well, and especially at home. They beat Dallas. No, Dallas actually beat them, I think, at home, if I'm not mistaken, a couple weeks ago. But, Carolina's still been playing some really good hockey overall. They've got the schedule in their favor. It wouldn't shock me to see them win this game, but I'm not going to lay $1.65 with them against the Rangers, nor am I going to bet against the Rangers when they're getting a price like this at plus 145. But I do favor the Hurricanes here. I just don't love the value you're getting, or the value you're not getting, in my opinion, with them here minus 165. So just the draw for me, and nothing totals wise either. I get the feeling this is an under, quite honestly. I get the feeling we might see something pretty tight here with these two teams, especially with the two Russians going head-to-head. If it is indeed Shesterkin versus Kochetkov, there's no questioning how good the form has been of both of these guys of late. What do you think here, Alex? Rangers, Hurricanes.
Yeah, this should be a really good, fun game, and I like the draw here as well. Pre-game, everything else, kind of looking at first period stuff, will definitely be trying to see the pace and form during the backcast. But like I said, draw makes a lot of sense. And Kochetkov, he's earned this spot tonight to start a big game against the Rangers, and we know he's earned certainly the chance to be the number one starter for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's just a matter of whether Brendan pulls the trigger on that, but this is a good sign for sure. And I think we see a good goaltending duel. So maybe even a sprinkle, a correct score, maybe leaning more toward a 3-3 or 4-4 spot. So I'm just going to have 3-3 in pocket because, like I said, I want to see where the pace of form goes. This could be a game that just plays low and slow throughout, or this could be a game where we see goals traded back and forth. But either way, I think it's going to still be where both teams stay close and go past 60 minutes here.
And yes, Jake Guentzel activated from IR and expected to make his Carolina Hurricanes debut tonight. Looks like he's on a line with Evgeny Kuznetsov, who was also just acquired at the trade deadline. Bit of a reclamation project with him because things obviously petered out for him in Washington. But now he's here in Carolina. So it's going to be Guentzel with Kuznetsov and Necas, looking like is going to be the second line for them. Still Svechnikov, Aho, and Teravainen on the top line. And Teuvo Teravainen is still a great prop bet, in my opinion. This guy has been really good on the top line. I think he scored against Calgary in the victory on Sunday as well. Good value again on Teravainen. I actually don't hate taking a shot with all three of the guys on the second line either. That could be a good chemistry type of line. Necas, Kuznetsov, and Guentzel. Kuznetsov actually was kind of noticeable the other night. It looks like this change of scenery might actually be a good thing for him. So that line could be good. Kuznetsov with Guentzel and Necas for the Carolina Hurricanes. And all of a sudden now, look what Gentzel's addition to the lineup does. Suddenly you can slide Nason down to the fourth line, and you've got Seth Jarvis and Martinook, who have been capable at times offensively this year. You've got them now down on the third line. So look at how just getting Jake Guentzel lengthens and deepens the lineup on the forward group for the Carolina Hurricanes. That's why, to me, they're in a better position to contend in the East and contend for a Stanley Cup, because I think their offense is a little more dynamic now with Jake Guentzel on it and a little more depth to it than it was before. What do you think here in this one, Matt? Rangers, Canes.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me just because they're two, top-end teams. Like, this is probably, outside of the Stars game, for personal reasons, the game that I'm most excited to watch, but maybe the game that I'm least excited to bet. I could see a draw here, so I think I'm going to sprinkle on the draw pregame. I agree with Alex. I do kind of want to see the pace. I would almost lean under in this game pregame. I'm not going to take it. I don't like betting unders, especially a game that I'm so excited to watch. I don't want it to be a goalie battle. I mean, it is, it could be an exciting game, but I obviously like seeing goals early and often. But I do want to see the pace because I don't know if both teams are going to maybe play for that free points and then, try and win it in overtime, or if it's going to be, one team really shows a different pace early in the game. So I'll probably stay off everything pregame besides the draw. If I found a good over under 6, I might take the under. But that just scares me that, 2 fluky goals in the first 4 minutes, and all of a sudden I'm chasing the rest of the game. But, and you mentioned the lineup changes. So I don't know if I'm going to take the Stefan Nason anytime goal prop, given that he's dropping down to the fourth line. I mean, he still will get some power play time, if there's some power plays called in this game. But yeah, the reason he was always clutch is he was getting good value for being a second line player. Because he isn't, a Jake Guentzel type of guy. But now that he's on the fourth line, the value is probably about where it should be. And I just don't know that he'll get the same opportunities. But it does show you that this team is getting more deep, which, is obviously good if you're a Hurricanes fan, to have a player like him on your fourth line as opposed to, being pushed up to your second line. So good for Carolina, maybe bad for our anytime goal scorer prop, but yeah, not a lot for me on this game, just given the magnitude of it, how good the teams are. Both teams are playing well, so it'll hopefully be some live action.
No doubt.
And I want to say one thing too in regards to, like I said, this being a big time matchup and looking at totals, and I know a lot of people in the chat are looking at different things under. And when you look at two top tier goaltenders, you automatically just kind of naturally think, oh well, it should be kind of a under kind of a game. But whenever we see these big matchups with top teams playing, both teams needing points, we tend to see the pace be a lot higher. And we, like I said, we see those goals come in early, and this game end up finding its way over, even if the pace slows down in the second and third period.
Right.
So you have the teams, they know how big the game is. They get excited. Oftentimes you will see either teams locked in and they're trading goals back and forth, or you see where the nerves hit them and all of a sudden they give up a mistake or two, and then you end up having a 1-1 game. So I would just beware with that. Whenever you see these, it's a big time spot and both teams need to lock down defensively. More often than not, both teams know that they're not going to just be, shutting down these offenses. They're just going to go back and forth and just make sure that they can get what they need to do. Not so much worried about that other team.
Yeah, that's a good point there. And this is a huge game. I'm looking at the standings. 88 points for the Rangers, 84 for Carolina. They're 4 points back. Carolina, this first in the Metropolitan Division. And for Carolina, it's so important they win this game because they got the schedule in their favor. It's a situation, too, where the Rangers played last night, and if they lose in regulation tonight, suddenly they're 6 back of the Rangers and with even amount of games left for both teams. So it's a big spot it's big for both, but for Carolina, they put themselves in a bit of a hole because 6 points back of this very solid Rangers team, if they lose tonight in regulation, that would be a tough hole to dig out of. Not saying they can't do it, but that's why this is a big one for them. They could either be 6 back or 2 back after tonight, depending on the result. All right. By the way, the Captain Obvious player prop of the day, as far as I'm concerned, we talked about this guy for the Rangers. I mentioned some Carolina ones earlier, but the one for the Rangers, Vincent Trocheck. Don't overthink it. What's he on? A 6-game point streak? What's he got? 4 goals in the last 4 games. Oh, and this is his most recent former team that he's playing as well, the Carolina Hurricanes. Of course, he was with Florida as well, but Carolina most recently, now with the Rangers, of course. So Vincent Trocheck, for me, one of my favorite players, prop looks for the night for sure in this game. And the form is there as well. He's been producing as of late. All right, Columbus and Montreal. We've got the Montreal Canadiens minus 120, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this one. Blue Jackets are tell you what, they have had some very good results lately against pretty good competition. Beating Edmonton 4-2, beating Vegas 6-3. The Nashville loss at home 2-1, but they were right in that game. So I like the form trending up here for this Columbus Blue Jackets team. Montreal's off a 3-2 loss to Toronto. Boston on tech. Give me the Jackets here, money line. I'm going to sprinkle on the Jackets money line here. I mean, these are two flighty teams here. But I like Columbus's form a little bit lately. Montreal's off the original 6 hockey night in Canada. Rivalry loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you play Boston coming up next. And in between, you got Columbus. I mean, I could see Montreal not having their A game tonight. The Columbus form has improved a little bit. 3-2 in their last 5 games. Now, the one concern is if this game was on in Columbus, I really would like the Jackets a lot tonight. But on the road, they've been a little bit more sketchy. I guess you could say. So I'm going to keep it a smaller bet. But at this price, I'm going to take Columbus. I still think they're overall better form right now than the Montreal Canadiens. I know Montreal's beaten them 4 times in a row, but like I said, this is a Columbus team that's in a pretty solid form at the moment going into this game. And then as far as the goaltending matchup here tonight, we're going to see Merzlikins for Columbus, Caden Primo for Montreal, who, he's been all over the map right now as far as his performances lately. He's had some good ones. He's had some rough ones. What I do know is he has lost each of his last 2 starts, and he gave up 3 goals to both Pittsburgh and to Tampa Bay. So what I'm going to do here is just go a little bit on Columbus here at the plus 100 price in this game. Now, they do have no Fantilli still, Kent Johnson, Justin Danforth out, and even Kirill Marchenko, which I don't like, has been added to the injury list or not an injury list, but the potential absence list, if you will, for tonight with an illness. But yeah, I'm still going to take a shot here. Columbus plus 100. I kind of lean over, but we haven't always seen Montreal play that way lately. But I'm always going to be over or pass when it comes to a game involving two teams out of the playoffs, and I certainly do in this game here. Alex, what do you think? Jackets, Canadiens.
Yeah, I'm passing on this game. There's other spots that are better, and like I said, life's too short to be betting on bad teams in March, so it's a pass.
Fair enough. Matt, what do you think here? Jackets, Habs.
Yeah, I also lean the over. I don't know if I'm going to take it pregame. I think we might get a better price on the Betcast. Maybe a 5.5 even if there is a slower start. If you are going to take Columbus, one other bet that I potentially might take, because I do lean Columbus here. I don't know if I want to take them. To Alex's point, it's the time of year that I don't know what's going to happen in this game. But the team total for Columbus is actually plus 120 at 3.5. So if you think Columbus is going to win, and you think that if they're going to win, they're going to score 4 goals, might be a little better value on that as an option as well. But yeah, I really like the over in my head, but I don't know if I'll get myself to take it before the Betcast. I want to see how the first few minutes of this game go, and then maybe adjust from there.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there on that. I think it's not. Although I will say this: the last two games in Montreal both went over. Montreal won both of them. I definitely lean that way. Again, I'm going to see how the game starts out. This is a good Betcast game too. You want to see what the pace is like early in the game. The one thing about Columbus too is Merzlikins is in net. You're not getting Tarasov. You're not getting one of the lesser goaltenders. You're getting hit. Merzlikins, who in his last 3 starts, he's given up just 2 goals. So he's actually played pretty well. The Chicago game, he played well. The Ranger game that they won. Remember, they beat the Rangers 4-1. He played well in that game. So keep that in mind. He's played a little bit better lately for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So that's why I'm lukewarm on the overs. But the only thing I'm on for sure pregame right now is Columbus plus 100. All right, next up. Oh, my gosh. We have to make a pick on this game. Pittsburgh Penguins and Ottawa Senators. Pittsburgh minus 120, road favorites, 6.5 the total. So there's no fucking way I'm laying a price with Pittsburgh on the road. No chance in hell is that happening. We've talked about, and I want to fade Pittsburgh at every opportunity, but this ain't the goddamn spot to do it. You got a bad Ottawa team that's just lost to San Jose. Malinsky special coming off the long road trip, first game back home off the West Coast. I ain't taking Ottawa either. To hell with these two teams. Fuck this game. Fuck these two teams as far as I'm concerned. There's nothing to say, at least from a side perspective. What I will say is if you're going to bet this game here at all, you bet over. I'll say this. Pittsburgh's generating shots galore against Boston. Even against Edmonton, they had a lot of shots over the weekend. They just did not put it in the net. I think this could be a spot where they do put it in the net because they finally play a team that's just as fucking out of sorts and bad and horrendous and horrific as they are, the Ottawa Senators, and then vice versa. I think Ottawa against this Pittsburgh team, which is breaking down left and right defensively, can score some goals too. So I think over trifecta could be in play. I might sprinkle a little on that. First period, both teams to score, first period over, full game over, but I want nothing, and I mean nothing, 0 to do with the side in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Pittsburgh, Ottawa.
Yeah, I'm going to do the over trifecta with all 3 plays in game. I'm going to wait a couple minutes when we're on the Betcast and try to grab all 3 of those spots at better adjusted prices. We can kind of be flexible and fun with some of these games if we feel like there's going to be pound hockey played, especially if you're betting live. And that's something I kind of want to work on and like to work on with some of these games late in the year doing live betting. If there are spots in situations with bad teams where we feel like goals could be involved, you can take some shots before, but use that time to set up to kind of look for some things live. So this is the kind of game I'm gonna kind of experiment with a little bit during the Betcast.
Exactly, and you can always look for a better price during the Betcast for those first period over, both teams to score, and also the full game over in this one. And as far as goaltending matchup, Jonas Korpisalo, Tristan Jarry in net. I do want to update Jansen Harkins, Matt Nieto, and Drew O'Connor all out or questionable for Pittsburgh. And of course, Thomas Chabot remains out for the Senators, and Josh Norris, this poor fucker, man. He cannot stay healthy, this guy. Another stint on the IR, another shoulder procedure, of course, and will not play again this season. That's concerning, man. This is a really good hockey player that has now been upended multiple times in a season by a significant, not just a little injury, a significant injury. This is becoming worrisome for this man's future as far as the NHL is concerned. And it sucks because he's a really good player, Josh Norris. And here he is again, another season coming to an end due to injury. Maddie, what do you think here? Penguins, Senators.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get on just a sprinkle. Like, I'm going to split it up, but I think I'm going to do the bifecta. Just on the off chance one of these teams does come out ready to play and the other team is already mailing it in for the night, and it's 2-0 after the first. So I'm going to do that just to be a little safer. And then I just had that I was going to take the over at 6.5, but I might wait for that to get to 6. I think it's a much safer play. I do think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game. I do think it'll be like pond hockey, but I want to maybe watch 2-3 minutes of it to see for sure. But I am gonna sprinkle on the first period over before the game, because I do feel good about that. Just given that, just in case there is that goal in the first 30 seconds. I've seen it the last couple nights. There's been a game or two with that first 30-second goal, and that kind of saves myself on the off chance that happens. Then I got to let it slow down a bit to get back down to maybe 6. So, I'll just be on the first period over, no bifecta, and then hopefully we can get it live at 6. But yeah, this will be one for the show.
There you go. So 6-3-1, by the way, for the over, full game over in the last 10 meetings between the Penguins and the Senators as well. Yeah, that's the only thing I'm interested in. Goals. I don't want Pittsburgh. I don't want Ottawa. I don't want either side in this game. And even the props are, you never, like right now, it looks like Michael Bunting, there's value because he's up with Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust, I think, for Pittsburgh. And then on the flip side for Ottawa, I think the main one to focus in on is, Pinto and Batherson. They've been some of the more reliable forwards, if there are any right now for Ottawa. So that's what I'd be looking at for props in that one. All right, let's move along. We've wasted enough times off our life with that game. The Detroit Red Wings taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Terry, that's going a little too far. Chewing glass before you bet this game. I mean, even I don't know if I'd go that far, but
yeah, that was hilarious.
Pretty detestable, that game, no question about it. This one, we've got the struggling Detroit Red Wings taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo -125, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Yeah, this is concerning with Detroit. And Detroit's going to find themselves on the outside looking in very soon if they don't get back on track. This has not been a good stretch of hockey for Newsy Lalonde's team. They have struggled. They missed Dylan Larkin badly. And I get it. He's the captain. I get it. He's a great two-way center. I get it. Great all-around player, offensively, defensively, face-off, everything, what he delivers for this Detroit team. But it's alarming, and I mean alarming now, for the Detroit Red Wings, how in the 2 games without him, especially Arizona and Vegas, how bad they've looked, okay? How really, really, truly bad they've looked without him. Like, they look lost. They look like they've lost their captain, if you will. They've lost their leader. And it's and both ends of the like their defense has been pretty rough all of a sudden here the last couple of games. I mean, this Detroit team's allowed it's been bad. 5-4, 7-4, and 5 going into this matchup here against Buffalo tonight. That's not what you want to see defensively. And I like Alex Lyon, and he's given this team everything. You talk about squeezing the orange and getting everything out of it. That's what we've done with Alex Lyon the last couple of years. It's what Florida did. They got every last drop of ability and performance out of the guy. I think Detroit, for a large part of the season, has gotten every ounce of ability and performance out of the guy. But he's hitting a serious wall right now, and you can see it. Last year, 15 games with the Florida Panthers, a season high in the NHL. This year, already 32 games started with the Detroit Red Wings. And you're seeing now, as the workload piles up, it's been tougher for Lyon. I mean, he has given up 4, 8, 13, 17 goals in the last 4 starts entering this game against the Buffalo Sabres. So his numbers are trending downward significantly. It's just one of those guys. You've gotten everything out of him. He's been a hell of the effort's been tremendous from the guy. but I think physically he's spent at this stage of the season. We're starting to see very real signs of that for this goaltender, Alex Lyon for Detroit. So now they come off the 3 games out west, Colorado, Arizona, Vegas, and then they make this one pit stop here in Buffalo before they finally head home and they play Arizona again. Meanwhile, you got the Buffalo Sabres who, look, 6-3-1 in their last 10, including victories against Tampa, Carolina at home, Edmonton in a shootout at home, and they deserved to win that game. I thought they played well, Buffalo, and they had the goal taken away from them in overtime by Owen Power, and they still won in a shootout. Right now, the Sabres' form's better than Detroit's. There's a reason they're a favorite here in this game, and I actually like Buffalo a little bit, and I'm going to split it up here. Money line and team total over for the Buffalo Sabres. The team total's got to be in pocket. This is a goaltender in Lyon and a team in Detroit that has given up at least 4 goals to their opponent in 5 straight games. Every game the opponent's gotten to at least 4 goals. And here tonight in this game, you're getting a Buffalo team total at a more than reasonable price of over 3.5 at like plus 120. You're getting a very, very good plus price on that team total for the Sabres here tonight in this game. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to split with Buffalo money line and Buffalo team total over 3.5 at around plus 120 to plus 125. That's a really good price on that. I lean to the full game over here. I mean, I have to go with the over trifecta too because of series history. It's just too stark to turn away from it. I mean, 5 straight overs. You want to know what the scores have been? 8-3, 5-4, 6-3, 7-6, 5-3. All of them smashing over the total. Like all of them 8 goals or more. Like not even 7. We're not talking about 7 goals to just barely clear the over. We're talking 8 goals or more in 5 straight meetings with the Red Wings and the Sabres. My only concern with the over trifecta tonight would be Luukkonen, who has been capable lately in net for Buffalo. But I still think we're going to see some goals here tonight in this game, and I also like the Buffalo money line team total over split. Alex, what do you think here, Red Wings Sabres?
Hear me?
Yep, you're back.
Okay. All right. Yeah, good. All right. Yeah. So this is a game where I love the draw, and that's been the big series history. 6 of the last 10 meetings going past regulation. We've also seen where it's been kind of an alternating, spot. Game go to overtime or shootout. Game in regulation. Game go to overtime or shootout. Game in the regulation. So based off of that pattern, we definitely should be seeing a game go past regulation as well. Now, looking at current form, Red Wings are giving up goals, like you mentioned. They've struggled without Larkin's team, probably going to miss the playoffs. Oh, boo-hoo. And then you got the Buffalo Sabres. We know how they go up and down at times, but Luukkonen has been rounding into form a little bit better, but series history dictates that we see goals back and forth. So I'm taking the draw here. I got that plus 360, but I'm also going with a 4-4 correct score. And I'm playing this one a little bit higher than I do some of the milder sprinkles. They're usually very, very small units. This will be kind of a quarter unit play. I think we do see goals back and forth. I'll look for first period and full game overs in game, just off of the fact that I don't think we're going to see goals in the first 5 minutes. I think we'll have some time and we'll be on live to be able to try to pick and grab some better prices with that. But I love the draw, and I'm taking that shot at the 4-4 correct score. So we'll be looking for some adjusted overs in game to go along with that.
And Buffalo 4-1, by the way, in the last 5 meetings against Detroit entering tonight. Matt, what do you think here, Red Wings Sabres?
Yeah, so I agree with both of you guys on the goal aspect. So I'm going to be on the over bifecta, but I'm actually going to take a shot with the Wings here. I think the streak has to end at some point.
Been a tough schedule. I'll say that. Islanders, Avs, Vegas, 3 of the losses. That's true.
And they're back in Eastern time. They're back in their time zone. I know they're not at home. Kane is from Buffalo. He's going to want to play well in his home city. So I don't know. Not that I think Detroit is for sure winning this game, and I'm super confident. I think it's more that you can find it at plus money. I'm seeing it as high as like plus 115 some spots. So I think I'm going to take a shot on Detroit. I'm not going to hammer it with my play of the week or anything crazy like that. But I figure they're going to stop the skid at some point and stop the bleeding. And they know. I mean, if you look at the wild card standings right now, they're tied with the Islanders, so they know. Enough is enough. We need a win. We need to get back in the win column if we want a shot at playing in the postseason. So, I'll be on Detroit money line, I'll be on the first period over and the game over as well. And then as Alex mentioned, if the live is coming, if the goals are coming, then we might be able to jump on even like a 7.5. And then hopefully he gets that 4-4 score, and then Detroit wins 5-4 in overtime. So we'll go with that. But no, and then I think you got to take a look at some props in this one as well. Kane being home, maybe if you can find Kane over 1.5 points, DeBrincat over 1.5 points, you figure if Detroit's going to win, that line's going to be the reason why. So definitely something to look at there. But yeah, those will be my pregame plays. And this is another one I'm sort of excited to watch during the Betcast, just because Detroit's got so much on the line. So it's not one of those games where two teams are out of the playoffs. You've got a Detroit team that's still fighting for their life. And then you have a Buffalo team, that's starting to play better than they have, as of recent. So this should be a fun one to watch. But yeah, those are my plays for this one.
All right. I like it. All right. As far as the props go, Patrick Kane, you already said it. Patrick Kane back in Buffalo, could clearly see him scoring, assist over 1.5 points. And look, he's got to get it going, okay, because this offense has been kind of helter-skelter without Larkin. So him and the Cat, they've got to get it revved up here for Detroit. It looks like Comfer is going to be on the top line with DeBrincat and Kane. That's enough of the Veleno experiment, because he really hasn't been producing. I do want to point this out, and this is probably worth a shot here tonight with him. Jonathan Berggren is back with the Detroit Red Wings, and he's a guy that has scored 2 goals. He's scored in previous stints with the team. He had 2 goals in 5 games the last stint with the team. He's going to get second line, top 6 role. So Jonathan Berggren, there's some value there for props. And as far as for Buffalo, I would say stick mostly to Peterka's been good, Cousins, and here's 2 that are moving up the lineup. Zemgus Girgensson is slotted on the top line tonight, believe it or not, for the Buffalo Sabres. And normally he plays on the 4th line for them. But right now, Don Granado's got Zemgus Girgensson on the top line with Thompson and Tuck here tonight. And he's also moved Zach Benson up to the second line here tonight with Greenway and Cousins. So if you're looking for value, as far as some props tonight for Buffalo, you've got Girgensson on and you've got Zach Benson on the second line here tonight for this Sabres team. So I think in both cases there could be some decent player prop value tonight for both of them here in this game tonight. So keep an eye on that. All right, here as we continue along on this Tuesday NHL card, it looks like holy shit, we've got the screen frozen here. Hold on. All right, there we go. All right.
What's up, chat? I guess everyone can see me, so just kill some time while Ian gets his internet figured out here.
All right,
there's Ian.
About that. There we go. Yeah, just as soon as the screen freezes, all we got to do is just exit, go back in, and then everything will be fine. So there we go. We're back here. So yeah, that was Detroit Buffalo. We pretty much said all we needed to say about that. And just in case I got cut off last time, Detroit and Buffalo, Zemgus Girgensson and Zach Benson are both in the top 6 forward group tonight. Moved up the lineup. So there's probably some value with their props here tonight in this game. All right, let's continue along. Next up, we've got the let me see there we go. Arizona Coyotes and the Minnesota Wild. After that crazy finish the other night for the Minnesota Wild, John Hines getting a frisky, pulling the goalie in overtime, and holy shit, it actually pays off and it works as they beat Nashville in overtime. And now they're laying $1.90 at home here against the Arizona Coyotes. The total here sitting at 6.5, shaded to the under in this game. When you look at this matchup, these two teams just played recently in the desert, and Minnesota ended up getting the win. Now, it was a pretty close game, actually, but it was spruced up by a couple empty net goals there for Minnesota, and they ended up with the 5-2 victory in that game. They've now beaten they've beaten Arizona, I should say, twice now in the last month. Those were in Arizona, though. It's funny, in Minnesota, if you'll remember, Arizona beat them 6-0. That was a Wild team, though, that was kind of going downhill, and they had some injuries at that time. But Arizona overall has been a tough out for Minnesota. They're in revenge for that loss, but when you lose 7-4 to the Blackhawks and you give up 7 goals to Chicago, I'm not really rushing to back you in the very next game. So I don't think on Arizona. I'm not laying this price with Minnesota. To me, this is definitely over trifecta. I think that's the clear choice for me. If you're actually looking at the numbers of both teams lately, Minnesota's starting to trend more to overs and scoring goals again. They have put up 4 more goals in 3 of their last 4 games. And they've gone over in 3 of their last 4 games. We know Arizona has been a big-time over machine. Jeez, how long has it been now? We've talked about overs and over trifectas with Arizona Coyotes games. It's got to be like a month, if not longer, steady that I have been on this show talking about over trifectas being a good bet for Arizona games. So for me, nothing on the side, maybe a small lean to the draw. Nothing other than that for me on the side, but definitely primarily looking at an over trifecta here. First period over, first period both teams to score, and full game over 6.5. What do you think here in this one, Alex? Coyotes-Wild.
Yeah, I definitely like the over trifecta as well, along with a small sprinkle on the draw and a small sprinkle on Minnesota team total too. Like we mentioned, seems like these 3.5. So we were kind of cursed last night, hoping for better luck here, and I think we do get goals. So Minnesota team total over, along with the over trifecta in the game, and a little sprinkle in the draw. We could see some. If here's the thing, the draw is going to be kind of dependent on if Arizona can come out hot early. So, like I said, it'll be a small sprinkle in the draw pregame. If we see where this pace maybe slows down and our over trifecta looks to be in trouble, then we can go heavy on the draw. So that's kind of the adjustment plan for the Betcast tonight.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, and again, with the Betcast tonight, we're going to be I'm keeping all the pregame bets, the majority of them smaller, just because we might add on to some of these during the Betcast. And yes, Karel Vejmelka in net for Arizona, Marc-Andre Fleury for Minnesota. Now, Carter Hutton said last week that in his goalie up and downs, that Vejmelka was starting to improve a bit, and he has improved a little bit. 3 goals, 2 goals, and 3 goals allowed in his last 3 starts after a dreadful run. So some improvement from him, but we'll see if he can keep it going here on the road. Going to be tough. Minnesota's offense is starting to get going. Power play has been very good lately for Minnesota as well, so keep an eye on that as well. This is a good game for props. I'll mention those in a minute, but first we'll hear from Matt. Matt, what do you think here, Arizona, Minnesota?
Yeah, I don't really have a side on this one, just given the value. I mean, I definitely lean Minnesota. I do think there should be some goals in this game, just given, series history and also how Arizona tends to play now that they're sort of out of it. I think my only pregame play here is actually going to be Minnesota over 3.5 team total. I think there's good value in that. I think it's a little safer as far as, you can bet Minnesota money line, but I don't want to lay $1.90. So that'll probably be my only pregame play. And then this will be one I'll be interested in betting some live bets tonight.
Good stuff. Yeah, as far as props go, it's basically the same people I always talk about for Arizona. Logan Cooley, Dylan Gunther, Alex Kerfoot, Carconi, all these guys. I think they're all worth a look here tonight for the for the Arizona Coyotes. For the Wild, I mean, I like Ryan Hartman. Ryan Hartman, actually, a lot of it was he was against Nashville, one of his old teams, so definitely like that element of it in that game as to why I like the Hartman prop against Minnesota. But you look at this Minnesota lineup. Boldy, of course, has been, for the large part since the coaching change, done a lot better job, no question. I don't know if we're going to see that guy. I know he's been interviewed a ton lately, and I've seen him pop up on social media and talking to the press, but we have not seen Marat Kusnedinov yet for the Minnesota Wild. And I don't know if we're going to see him tonight because it doesn't look like he's in the lineup card as of right now.
Yeah, I don't think we will either. We were just joking in the chat, though. How many people around town here in St. Paul are going to mess that name up? It's going to be pretty funny.
Yeah, no doubt. So exactly. So that's right. That's why you go to the pronunciation king to get it right. But I think right now, when you look at this matchup here, like I say, Hartman, I still would stick to Hartman. I like the way he's played with Rossi and Zook on the second line for them. There's definitely some value. Boldy's never a bad option either, but you just don't get quite the good price there with him in comparison. All right, next up, we've got the Florida Panthers and the Dallas Stars. We know this is definitely one of the marquee matchups here tonight on this Tuesday slate. We've got pretty much pick 'em here. In fact, how about the respect here for at least in the betting markets, the respect for the Dallas Stars? Slight home favorites in this game, -115. 6 the total in this game. What a matchup this should be on paper. Definitely looking forward to it. You won't see me fading Florida on the road. Just will not do it. This is the league's best road team, 23 road wins coming into this matchup tonight against the Dallas Stars. Just spectacular. I think just in the last 10 or 11 road games alone, they're like 9-1 or 10-1. Like they've just been masterful on the road. Their only road loss recently was against Carolina when they got shut out 1-0 by the Hurricanes. So this is just a team at this price. I absolutely do not go against the Florida Panthers. This price is just dirt cheap on them on the road where they've played their best hockey all year. But I'm not betting on them tonight either here in this game because you look at Dallas. They've put together, I think, some of their better team efforts recently. The addition, I should say, of Tanev does make that defense in front of their goaltender better, stronger, suppressing shots, clearing the front of the net, which Tanev is obviously very good at. And I like the way Dallas has played. 5 straight wins, surging team. Now you could quibble about the strength of schedule. No doubt 4 of those 5 wins against lesser lights, 2 against San Jose, 1 against Anaheim, an LA team that's erratic. A little bit better team, obviously, but still up and down. The one really good team they played during that stretch was Winnipeg. They beat them 4-1 at home, but that was at home, and they played a good team at home, and they were ready for that game, 4-1. And the thing that does concern, 14-1 is the official number, says Alex, for Florida on the road, 14-1 in their last 15 road games entering tonight. But here's another thing that I looked at for Florida. It concerns me a little bit. Carolina is their next game. It's a huge game. Carolina Hurricanes, a team that's in the division, team that's got playoff history. So it's crazy to say a game like this against Dallas, team that you actually might see in a Stanley Cup final if you win the East, could be a lesser game. But, I mean, in terms of division rivalry and history, that Carolina rivalry with Florida is heating up big time. And I remember the way that Florida-Carolina game ended. There was a big scrum at the end of the game, the end of that 1-0 game. And that's a huge one on deck Thursday night. And so this is dangerous here for Florida, given that big game coming up with Carolina. They just find ways to get it done. Cannot go against Florida on the road right now, but I'm also not jumping on them here either. I'm going to take the draw in this game. Dallas Stars have been good home team draw as of late. I've talked about this a lot. San Jose shootout at home. Islanders overtime at home. In fact, more of their overtime games have been at home as opposed to on the road. So I definitely like Panthers Stars draw in this game. Give me a sneaky over in this game, and not the first period over, because I think it actually could start slow and then build the goals as it goes on, and then it opens up. We've seen that a little bit with Dallas at times of late. We saw that with Florida against Calgary over the weekend, where nothing in the first period, then things exploded. So I don't want a first period over here. Just give me a little full game over. The series history has kind of played that way. We have seen 5-1 to the over in the last 6 meetings, 5-4, 6-5, 7-1, 6-4, 5-4, and 6 straight meetings too have seen at least 6 goals. The only under was a 6.5 that stayed under, and it ended 5-1, but it still got to 6 goals, which is where this total is. So give me a small over 6 here in this game as well. Panthers and Stars, and also the draw in what could be, very well might be the game of the night. That and the Rangers and the Hurricanes on paper for sure, the 2 games of the night entering the slate. What do you think here, Alex? Florida, Dallas.
So this is obviously this is the marquee matchup of the night. This is going to be a huge battle. And when we talk about these 2 teams lately, let's go to the second half of the season. But when we talk about this is a big spot for Team X, be it Dallas or Florida, how many times have we said, wow, Florida, this is kind of a tricky spot, but, let's see if they can overcome it. They find a way to get a win. This is a big spot, in a big-time game. Can they at least kind of keep it close? They find a way to win. Like I said, 14-1 last 15 in a row. But then when we talk about Dallas, this is a big spot. They need 2 points here, and then all of a sudden they don't really show up. They don't show up against Colorado. We've seen them lay some eggs here in spots where it's a big-time game. They need to show up, especially at home. You're taking on a Florida team that don't care where they're playing. Like I said, 14-1 last 15 on the road. They know how to win on the road. They have something you'll hear me say a lot between now and the end of June, killer instinct. And that's the reason why they're a team that went all the way to the East Conference, representing the East in the Stanley Cup Final. That's the reason why we've seen them be such a dominant team away from Sunrise. I'm on Florida Panthers minus $1.05 here. I would take some small sprinkles with the draw, but honestly, I could see this one being a 4-2, 5-2 game. Not to say it's not a blowout. It's going to be close, and then Florida could pull away late. I just trust their form and their makeup a little bit more than Dallas in a big-time spot here. And this is a cheap enough price to back up Florida team. Like I said, incredible record on the road all season.
It is incredible. It is incredible. There's no doubt. Florida minus 105 is for them on the road is just an incredible price. The only way I could bet it from a side perspective, but I'm not. I actually am. I am a little bit leery of this. I'm also leery of the injury situation too for Florida. Aaron Ekblad out. It's a big loss. It is the way
He's always
playing.
hurt, though.
He's always hurt. But they have depth. Josh Maher is capable. Don't sleep on him. He's capable. Is he Aaron Ekblad? Of course not. But he's capable, and he's going to play the sixth defenseman role with Kulikov, Montour, Mikkola, Oliver Lossum-Tossum, and Gustav Forsling on the top pair. Still a very good blue line, formidable. And don't sleep on the Evan Rodriguez injury either. This guy's got 36 points this year for Florida, 10 goals, 26 assists, good at both ends of the ice. He won't play with a lower body injury. They do think it's minor, though. He'll be ready to go for the Carolina game later this week on Thursday. As far as props go in this game, Tarasenko with Barkov and Reinhart, there's definitely chemistry there. So you can definitely go in the Tarasenko route here in this game. Bennett, I think, has got a little value on the second line as well for this Panthers team. And then for the Dallas Stars, I've been impressed with Johnston and Logan Stankoven. Those two guys have gotten out of the old man, Jamie Benn. I mean, Jamie Benn plays with revitalized energy now since he's been with those two guys, with Stankoven and Johnston. So anyone on that second line's worth a look. How about Sam Steele up to the second line tonight with Sagan out? Sam Steele's got value, man, playing with Duchesne and Marchment on that second line tonight for the Dallas Stars. So good value on Sam Steele on the second line. You can get pretty good prices. Of course, the top line, and I'm sure Matt will talk about it, the top line's been a bit of an enigma this year. They've had their moments where they've been good, and they've had their moments where they've been totally invisible. But lately, Pavelski, Hintz, and Robertson have started to kick it into a little bit more of a high gear. And just to reiterate, Sam Steele plus 850 at PointsBet for him to score a goal tonight. He's playing on the second line. That's pretty damn good value when you think of it. Yeah, StreamYard must be fucking up tonight. We've had to exit and come back in on the stream multiple times. And now Matt here, the same thing. So it's just that kind of a day as far as technology. It's not treating us very kindly. But we'll get Matt back in here in a moment. Of all games for Matt to disappear on us. There he is. Matt, have at it. Florida, Dallas.
Yeah, obviously the game of the night for me, but it sounds like for everybody as well. I'm not really going to take a side here. I think, I'm not going to bet against Florida on the road, even if it is, my favorite team, the Dallas Stars. I do like the first period over and the game over in this one. I like the game over for similar reasons. There's going to be goals that slowly build on each other, but still not convinced Ottinger's. So, and I think Dallas will battle back being at home. So I could see a 1-1, 2-1 type of first period. So I'll be on that. And then there's a number of props I'll be taking, obviously, with this being a game that we're going to be watching tonight. I'll be on a number of props. You can go on the list with Stankoven, Wyatt Johnston, and those type of guys. Obviously, anyone on that top line. But yeah, I think this is going to be a good game. I think, to Alex's point, Colorado game for Dallas was horrific, but it was on the road in a bad spot on the schedule. I think the last, two true games that they had a decent schedule were Winnipeg and Carolina against two good teams, and they found a way to win. I'm hoping it's a different type of game since I'm on the overs, and both of those games were like 3-1, I think. 3-1 or 4-1, but yeah, I'm just excited to watch this game. I'm not going to put too much money on it so that, I can just actually enjoy the game and, be excited as a fan. But yeah, looking forward to it. I think it's the toughest test Dallas has had in a while. I mean, like you mentioned, it could be the Stanley Cup final matchup. So it'll be good to see how Dallas plays against a team that is up in that caliber, to see if they're real or if they're pretenders. So I guess we'll find out tonight.
Yeah, I'm also going to have Stankoven and Johnston, the goal props. I'll take a shot. I mean, I think they're big game players. I think they can elevate their games in big games. I feel they both have that capability. And then for Florida, just because it's his debut and he is going to get third line opportunity, Kyle Okposo plus 430. Well, because something very small, but it's his first game. Is a good veteran ad actually for this Panthers team, and he'll slide in on the third line tonight for them. So I just can't wait. This should be one heck of a game. Yeah, Marchment against Florida. That angle is substantial because, look, Florida's another one of those teams that kind of gave up on him. Not to the extent Toronto did, but certainly they did a little bit. And now, of course, he's here in Dallas. So, yeah, Marchment, axe to grind, 100% could see props for him being worth a look tonight here in this game as well. All right, next up, we've got the Anaheim Ducks taking on the Chicago. We go from Florida, Dallas to this. Anaheim and Chicago. We've got Chicago minus 115 home favorites. The total in this game currently at 6, shaded to the under. We're singing the praises of Lucas Dostal, and he promptly has one of his worst games in a while against the New York Islanders on Sunday, losing by a score of 6-1. Now, it wasn't all his fault, but definitely wasn't as sharp, you could tell, as what we have seen from him in recent games. It looks like in this matchup tonight here between these two teams, we are going to see John Gibson back in net for Anaheim, Peter Mrazek in net for the Chicago Blackhawks. This is the game, and I sometimes give you something on every game, but side or total, nothing really here. I could see this being a high-scoring game. I could see it being a low-scoring game because Anaheim-Chicago has actually kind of trended under head-to-head with these two teams. But Gibson's been up and down. Chicago bursts out for 7 goals against Arizona, but this now 2 games where they've scored a bunch against Arizona in a week, and they've not scored much of anything in any other game against any other team. So it's not like I'm saying, wow, that's a sign of Chicago going to get the offense rolling again. But if Bedard decides to play like Houdini again, like he did the other night against Arizona, maybe they can. Too many variables, too many question marks, too much erratic behavior of both teams. So pass for me. Maybe I look at props, but not much more than that. Alex, what do you think here? Ducks, Blackhawks.
Yeah, like I said, life's too short to bet on bad teams in March, and this is a clear-cut example of this now. It would be nice to see if that offense, like I said, could transfer against a team that's not named the Arizona Coyotes. I don't know if that's the case. Anaheim, certainly a bad enough team to where they could possibly get that done, but something that, maybe look for something in game, but nothing pre-game as of now. It's clearly a pass.
Yeah, I mean, if you bet Chicago, if you want to bet Chicago, you could take minus 115 money line or team total, or you could just bet Bedard and do something, because if Chicago's going to win this game, he's probably going to do something. He'll score a goal. He'll get an assist. He'll get over 1.5 points, like he did, obviously, the other night against the Arizona Coyotes. So it's almost you're better off just to bet Bedard props if you like Chicago. That's as good of a bet, if not better, than taking Chicago in any form. What do you think here, Matt? Anaheim, Chicago.
Yeah, it's going to be a pass for me. I did just look, and Bedard over two or more points is plus 185, so that's worth a look. I mean, the value's there. If you're going to take Chicago's team total over 2.5, it's like minus 170. And you have to figure if they're going to get 3 goals, he's going to have 2 points. So that would really – I might sprinkle on that. I mean, just after looking at that while we were talking about it. But as far as sides totals, this is not going to be where I'm going to be placing my money tonight. That's for
Nothing
sure.
wrong with that. Blackwell, too, for Chicago. I can't explain it, but he's just a streaky bugger, and right now he's starting to percolate again for the Chicago Blackhawks. So there's something you could look at as far as props go. I'd go Alex Killorn. I'd go Vetrano. I'd go Strome. Those are the 3 guys that stand out for Anaheim if I'm going to look at goal props or assist props or point props of any kind. They've been pretty good form lately. All 3 of those guys. Good to see Alex Killorn not only healthy, but playing well again. And I know he's in a tough spot. He's got this young team, a long rebuild ahead, but, you don't see him pout. He's an ultimate professional, Alex Killorn. I respect that. And he's a good player to have around that young team moving forward. No question about that. All right, Colorado, Calgary. We've got the Avs minus 170. Road favorites, 6.5 being the total here in this game. This is the end of this is Calgary returning from a pretty lengthy road trip. Actually, not that lengthy, but the 3-game trip in the Southeast, Tampa, Florida, Carolina. Started out well They beat Tampa Bay 6-3, but man, did it absolutely cave in on them against the Panthers and the Hurricanes. 12 goals allowed in the two games combined, 5-1, 7-2 losses to the Panthers and the Hurricanes on back-to-back games. And now they return home for this first game following that 3 games in 4 nights sojourn in the Southeast United States. So difficult spot. Jacob Markstrom back in net for Calgary. We saw Vladar start the game against Carolina, although Markstrom was in net for that Florida game, which also really did not go well for the Flames, losing 5-1 to the Panthers. Justus Onanen will get the start here for Colorado. And, you know, we panned this guy's performance, and rightfully so, earlier in the season. Well, don't look now. Last 3 starts, 2 goals allowed in the 3 starts combined. Back-to-back shutouts for Justus Onanen, but both of those were against the Chicago Blackhawks. So we've got a conundrum here. Do we believe in this kid? Is he really turning things around? He did hold the Detroit before that to 2 goals. So that was a pretty good game on 30 shots. And hey, back-to-back shutouts, pretty damn impressive most of the time. But against Chicago, is it as impressive? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Is Onanen the kind of guy that can put his foot down again tonight and put up a great performance against Calgary? I think Calgary is still an offensively capable team at this point in time. What they are not at this point in time is defensively capable. And I have said this now for a few shows. You subtract Noah Hanifin and Chris Tanev from this blue line, and now you're seeing the result. Any kind of good team with offensive depth to them, like a Carolina, like a Florida, can absolutely score at will against the Calgary Flames right now. And that's exactly what we saw over the weekend. Markstrom will do the best he can. But look, he was great against Florida, and Florida still scored 5, which speaks to just how much the Calgary blue line, without 2 of the best maybe the 2 best defensemen they had all season, now out. You know, and now all of a sudden you got to rely on Braden Pahal and Joel Hanley to play minutes that they shouldn't. Miramanov is still very young. He's a good prospect, but he's still very young and learning. Weegar and Anderson and Shillington have to play a shit ton of minutes, and I don't know if they're capable of the workload that now is going to be asked of them, and there's no Hanifin anymore. So I think this is a team that probably will continue to give up goals. Could certainly see that happening again here tonight. Colorado has owned this series. They've won 6 of the last 7 meetings, and in each of the last 4 games, they have scored 4 goals in 3 of the last 4 head-to-head victories that they have had over the Calgary Flames. So love the team total over for Colorado tonight. I said that on the weekend. We're going to keep hammering these team totals against Calgary until they prove they can keep the puck out of the net. So Colorado team total over 3.5, -110. Might even get involved with an over bifecta here too. Over 1.5 first period, over 6.5. Just because I'm not totally sold on Onanen just yet. Way to go, shutting out Chicago twice in a row. Show it to me against. Look, say what you will about Calgary's defensive issues, and they have big time defensive issues. There's still offensive capability there. With Sharon Govich playing well, he's worth a look again as far as goal scoring tonight. He's on fire, can't be stopped. Blake Coleman's been good lately. Mangiapane's starting to percolate. They get Marty Pospisil back from suspension tonight with Kadri and Peltier on the top line, and they've been good. So, yeah, like I said, I think Calgary can score a little bit tonight if Onanen is back to the old Onanen. So I like the over by Fecta a little bit, but the main bet here is Colorado team total over 3.5 in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Avs, Flames.
Yeah, I'm taking the over duel in the first period. So that's first period over 1.5 combined with first period, both teams to score. I do not believe in Justus Onanen shutting out the Blackhawks twice, a team that we've seen virtually have no offense against the majority of the league for the majority of the season. Calgary will definitely be able to, like I said, bring some energy, but obviously they're going to give up goals too. You talk about how bad that defense is without Hanifin, without Tanev, they are just completely lost. And that's not going to go away anytime soon. So definitely we'll be looking at that live full game over. Just want to try and get a better price on it. 6.5 is a fine number, but if I can try and get that down, maybe even try to get the plus money, that's what I'm just kind of shooting for. But I like the first period looks with the over and both teams to score. And there's also kind of a player prop combo that I'm looking at with Colorado. I'll talk about a little bit later on.
All right, saving something for the bargain bin here from this game. Calgary's not going to give up like 4 goals or more every game the rest of the season. Like, they're going to have their nights, even with the losses of Tanev and Hanifin, where they're going to be able to keep a team subdued. It will happen at some point, but I'm saying specifically against the really good teams. And we saw it over the weekend. Florida, Carolina. I mean, just they made them look silly with give and go plays and odd man rushes, and they're just moving the puck, and they're turning around these Calgary defensemen, and nobody's communicating. They're playing with different players now, and good teams offensively, the best teams in the NHL, the elite teams, are going to make this Colorado or make this Calgary defense look very, very shaky at times. And we talk about how Florida made them look bad, and Carolina. What do you think Colorado could do? With all the skill and weaponry they possess right now, with McKinnon and Rantanen and Big Val Nichushkin's back, and Drouin and Middlestat, goes on and on. Yakov Trenin is actually a good depth forward for them as well. Taves and Makar on the blue line. It's just a lot to deal with for a blue line that looks like they've been a bit lost in these last 2 games against better competition. Matt, what do you think here, Colorado, Calgary?
Yeah, I do agree with you that the goals for the other team will slow down eventually. This decor will kind of figure things out. They won't give up 4 more. I'm not going to start with Colorado, though. They have way too much firepower up front. Having Big Val back, I think I saw like 5 or 6 guys on Colorado that aren't even bargain bin worthy for over 2 points. To me, that's Colorado team total type of night. So that's my biggest play. I'm also going to be on the first period over. I do think Calgary at home, they'll bring some energy early, but I could see this game being like 2-3-1 after the first, and then I could see things slowing down. So I like the over, maybe at a 6 if we can get a slow first few minutes. But yeah, those will be my only 2 plays pregame. Will be the team total over 3.5 and the first period over.
All right, there we go. I like it. As far as props go, I mentioned Sharon Govich for Calgary is the main one. But Pospisil's back and on the top line, there's value. Peltier's on the top line with Kadri, there's value. Coleman's been good. Dryden Hunt, too. Crazy sneaky. Even though he's on the 4th line, I think he's scored now in 2 of the last 3 games on that road trip for Calgary. I mean, so why not Dryden Hunt a little bit? Don't sleep on that. And then for Colorado, anything Big Val, because right away comes back into the lineup, produces. I also think when you look at it, I've talked about Lehkonen, although now he's out, won't play tonight. But Duhaime on the second line's interesting. I'm seeing Brandon Duhaime up with Middlestat and Drouin on the second line here tonight. Now, he's only got 4 goals on the season, but there is value. He's moving up the lineup. And I also mentioned maybe a sneaky shot here with Trenin as well tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. All right, next up, we've got the Vegas Golden Knights and the Seattle Kraken. Final game of the night. This is even a pretty good game right now. Seattle's trying to keep their push to the wild card going. Vegas is trying to solidify their standing in the postseason. We've got Vegas minus 140, road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Was it a sign they bounced back, Vegas? Because we talked about how Detroit looks lost and pretty bad without Larkin, and they were on a back-to-back on the road. But you got to start somewhere if you're Vegas, trying to get things going, and they did. They got the win against Detroit on Saturday night, 5-3. I think Alex and I both swept with the first period full game overs in that game. We both really liked those. We could see. I think the first period over could be worth a look here. I could see it slowing down after as well, because I'll tell you what, Seattle's been playing a lot of playoff style hockey. 3 unders in their last 5 games. They are off a shutout loss to the Winnipeg Jets. They'll be looking to bounce back. Remember, they beat Vegas. The last time they played was the Winter Classic in Seattle, and the Kraken ended up getting a 3-0 win in that game. It's a tough game for me. This is Vegas. I want to play overs, and Seattle, I'm scared to death to play overs right now because they've been playing this, very, very tight, checking, grinded out style of hockey, and they have a goaltender in Philip Grubauer, who's going to start tonight, who's clearly got confidence back in his sails. And they don't have Vince Dunn either. Don't underestimate the impact of Vince Dunn's injury for Seattle, generating that offense, moving the puck from defense to offense. That's a huge component of getting their offense going, is the ability to move the puck along the blue line from Vince Dunn, and they don't have that right now for this Seattle team. I mentioned Grubauer, 4-1 in his last 5 starts. He's been very good. He's given up 2 goals or less in 4 of the 5 starts, and there's no doubt he's playing well. I think the one thing I will bet is just sprinkle on the draw here a little bit with the Golden Knights and the Kraken. To me, I could see this one definitely having some overtime potential between these two teams. I don't want to pick a side. Don't want to lay a $1.40 on the road with Vegas. I want to see another game with a quality performance yet before I'm ready to back them at the moment, especially on the road. But I don't want to take Seattle either because I want to see if Vegas can build on what they did against Detroit. But I do think it's a competitive game. I'll go the draw route here in this one. Alex, what do you think? Vegas, Seattle.
Yeah, I like the first period over and the draw as well. But if we cash this first period over, I'll be looking for an under. I can definitely see where we can try and get maybe an 8.5, laying $1.30, or 7.5, somewhere in that pick 'em range. I could see where this thing kind of goes to a snail's pace after the second and definitely into the third period. But I think we get goals early, and I expect this to go past 60. So first period over and the draw pregame, and we're hopefully looking for a live under if we can catch that first period over.
Yeah, as far as props too, I just want to throw out a couple. Mantha, Stevenson, and Howden are the second line for Vegas. There's some value. Howden's back on the second line. There's probably value on him tonight. Someone mentioned Dorofeev with Carlson and Amadio. I mean, Barbashev, Eichel, and Marchessault get all the headlines, rightfully so, but the second and the third line are more than capable of producing offensively for Vegas. And when they're at their best, they're getting contributions from that second and that third line. So don't sleep on that for Vegas, that those props might be worth a look. And then for Seattle, going into this game tonight, Ty Cartier's back up to the top 6 forward group with McCann. I'd look at Burakovsky, too. Streaky guy. He scored the last game. Bjorkstrand's also been in a better zone lately. And maybe Tatar with Beniers and Eberle for Seattle as far as props tonight. Matt, what do you think here? Golden Knights, Kraken.
Yeah, so I will jump on the first period over this game, but really I only have one play for this game pregame, and it's the Seattle Kraken money line. I think they win this one at home. A little bit biased here, betting with my heart. You've seen the stuff in the media about is Mark Stone's injury real, all this. I've seen a lot of breakdowns on what Vegas needs to do to actually get into the playoffs, and so I'm kind of pulling for them to not get into the playoffs. So it's a little bit of a heart bet, but I do think Seattle, they're fighting for a playoff spot where right now maybe Vegas is in the driver's seat of a playoff spot. So I've been in that arena. I went to a playoff game in Seattle last year. It gets rowdy in there. Their fans are legit, especially for being kind of a new team. So why not? Give me Seattle Kraken, given the value at plus 120 money line.
Yeah, they need the points. Vegas has not been world beaters, especially on the road. If you look at Vegas on the road here lately, they lose at Columbus, at Buffalo, at Boston, at Ottawa. I mean, they were 1-4 on that last road trip. The only win was against Toronto, a revenge spot where Toronto was off a brutal spot. They were coming home off their own road trip when Vegas went there and beat Toronto 6-2. That's the only road win Vegas has had in the last 5 games. And Seattle's off a shutout loss, and they need the points even more than Vegas. They're even more desperate for the points than Vegas. So that's why I'm not laying $1.40 with Vegas. I applaud Matt. I do think there's a little value on Seattle. I agree. I'm not betting it, but I see his points why he likes Seattle a little bit here in this game at plus 120 as a home underdog. All right, great stuff. Great card, and we can't wait for the Betcast tonight. We sure hope you're along with us as well. $10 per month. Get to that Patreon page if you're not a subscriber already. Patreon.com/IceGuys, just $10 per month. Patreon exclusive live Betcast tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. And again, on the Patreon page, you'll see the YouTube link if you're a member. You can leave your email address there in the comments section below the post of that YouTube link, and we will send you the StreamYard link for the Betcast tonight so that you can join us during the Betcast on the stream tonight. So looking forward to it. It's a good card. Excited for the Patreon exclusive live Betcast. And if you're not able to subscribe at Patreon at the time being, and we know there's obviously all kinds of issues people can have with finances and all that, no worries. Tuesday, March 26th, we have you covered, 7 p.m. Eastern. Our free-for-all public Betcast this month. Make sure you DM or email Alex or me for a spot on that Betcast. That one will be available to everybody. Tuesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern. And a certain Matt Robinson is going to be in San Jose that night for a Dallas Stars San Jose Sharks game. I know you're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I've never been in the Shark Tank. Obviously, would have preferred to do it in a year that their fans would actually be showing up. But the positive is we were able to get pretty good seats for pretty cheap, and I'm guessing we're going to be able to move down to the glass because on a Tuesday night at the end of March, I don't foreshadow any Sharks fans there, so will be exciting. The good news is it's a 7:30 Pacific time game, so I would as I'm in the hotel having a beer before I head to the arena, I should be able to jump on, and then maybe a quick 2 or 3 minutes from inside the arena with boots on the ground for that game. So definitely looking forward to that. It's an arena I haven't been to, so it'll be one more to check off the bucket list.
How about that? That's dedication to the Betcast from our guy Matt Robinson right there. He's going to be in San Jose. He couldn't take the night off from the Betcast. He says, "No, I'll join you for a bit, and I'll try to give you a live shot inside the arena." So that's dedication personified to the Ice Guys Live Betcast right there from Matt.
Definitely,
He'll be joining us at least for a bit, March 26th from San Jose. All right, great stuff. Bargain bin special of the night, bet and best bets to wrap up the show. Coming right up, right after we hear from our great daily sponsors, Boston. All right, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out. And again, 20% off all orders using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night. Alex is carrying the segment lately, doing a heck of a job. Another one last night with Alex Iafallo. Alex, where are you going in the bargain bin tonight?
Well, getting a little creative, right? We can't get bargain bin spots on top tier players unless we have to be a little bit creative. I like Valeri Nichushkin being back in the lineup for the Colorado Avalanche because I saw him already making a big impact. Seen Nathan McKinnon obviously being the heart and soul of this team. I like both those guys to score, so I'm just going to go on and parlay them. You can get that plus 360 at BetMGM, plus 375 at Bet Online. So it's within the bargain bin special parameters. Give me Valeri Nichushkin parlayed with Nathan McKinnon. Each get goals for Colorado tonight. That's my bargain bin special for Tuesday.
I like the creativity. That's great. McKinnon and Nichushkin, anytime goal scorer parlay plus in the plus 370 range for this game tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. Bargain bin special for Alex B. Smith. Matt, what do you got for us from the bargain bin?
Yeah, so I know one of the last Patreon Betcasts was the Stars Nashville game that obviously went off, and I had a great night. But one play particular that night that I really liked was Duchesne over 1.5 points because he was going back to Nashville. And I know that line has not been the same without Sagan. They've, been absent a lot of games, but I think they're both big name players and playing big games. So I think that Duchesne will give the favor back. And so I'm going to take a Mason Marchment 8-time goal. I'm seeing it right about plus 300, plus 320. So I think he's going to want to give it to Florida. They kind of treated him as a fourth liner, and then he ended up getting to Dallas and proving that he can play at a high level. So I think he wants to score tonight, just given his former team. So that'll be my bargain bin, Mason Marchment 8-time goal.
There you go. Mason Marchment, Dallas Stars, plus 320. Again, against one of his old teams, the Florida Panthers. So Marchment plus 320 for Matt Robinson with his bargain bin special for tonight. My bargain bin special for tonight, and again, I know this is a guy that's played on the fourth line a lot for the Buffalo Sabres. We're talking about top line, playing with Thompson and Tuck, and Zemgus Girgensson. And I'll say this about Zemgus Girgensson. Since February 21st, which was let me count it up, which was how many games ago? 11 games ago. He does have 3 goals. And keep in mind, he was on the fourth line for all of those games. He's on the top line tonight, and he is plus 650 to score a goal tonight for the Buffalo Sabres on the top line. Zemgus Girgensson, the Latvian wonder. Let's see if he can find the back of the net tonight. Zemgus Girgensson, Buffalo Sabres, plus 650 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, it is time now for best bets to wrap this up. And of course, we'll be back with you in 3 hours for the Betcast later tonight for Patreon members, of course, only. Alex, what do you like for best bet? Uh-oh. We'll have to come back to Alex. He's frozen. We'll get back to him in a moment. We'll go to Matt now instead. We'll get back to Alex in a moment. Matt, what do you like here for best bet tonight?
Yeah, best bet. I'm not going to DFW to the old American Airlines Center. I'm going to take it to Calgary, and I'm going to take the Avalanche over 3.5 team total. I'm seeing it at -110. I think there's great value there. I think Colorado keeps rolling, and I think Calgary keeps giving up goals. So Colorado Avalanche team total over 3.5. That's my best bet for tonight.
All right, Colorado Avalanche team total over 3.5. Best bet for Matt Robinson. Alex is back, and Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, sorry about that. This phone's been fucking weird. I like the Florida Panthers tonight as my best bet. Like I said, killer instinct. This is a team that's won 14 of the last 15 games on the road. I think they step up in a big way here. You can say, okay, Carolina's the next game up, but there's no reason for them to overlook anybody right now. Lay waste to the teams that are in front of you. Stake your claim as being one of the best in the league. Give me Florida at a cheap freaking price, minus $1.05. It's my best bet tonight.
All right, there we go. Good stuff for Alex B. Smith. Florida Panthers. Do the Panther sound for him there. -105 for his best bet. And Alex and Matt are still good friends, even after Matt heard Alex say that just now.
I don't hate the bet, honestly. I don't hate the bet.
There you go. There you go. He's an unbiased and
strictly
very
business,
honest
man.
Dallas Stars fan.
Strictly business.
Business, exactly. Speaking of strictly business, it's been good business lately taking the team totals against the Detroit Red Wings. They have given up 4 goals in every game during this losing streak. I think Buffalo can get 4 tonight. Alex Lyon he's fading. He's losing steam. He's had a shit ton of games under his belt, easily smashing his previous career high of starts in the NHL. And I think he's starting to feel it right now. The weight of playing this many games. He hasn't been as sharp. I think, and look, if you're Buffalo, I want to point this out. Detroit's one of the, they're not going to make it, but I'm trying to say if they're still entertaining making it, if they win in regulation tonight, they're 5 points back of Detroit. Okay. This is huge for the Buffalo Sabres. If they have a fucking chance in hell, a snowball's chance in hell of the postseason, they got to win tonight. You got to expect a good effort. And rather than the money line, I prefer the team total with a Detroit team that's given up 4+ in every recent game. Buffalo team total over 3.5, +115 at Pinnacle for my best bet for this Tuesday NHL card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys Show. Thanks to everyone for joining us. We've got the Betcast coming up tonight. Looking forward to that for Patreon members. Sign up at patreon.com/iceguys to be a part of that. And a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith and Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Wednesday. And of course, for Patreon members tonight on the Betcast, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And again, tomorrow on Wednesday as well for another edition of the Ice Guys.